The cover page of One Punch Man chapter 192 titled Level Up is absolutely insane. We've got Saitama benching 2 trans-dimensional portals. He is casually lifting holes in space and time. It's been a while since we've seen Blast, but hopefully this disrespect means that it won't be long before he returns. Picking back up where the last chapter left off, King desperately wanted Master Bang to make him stronger. Bang considered the words of the world's strongest man as the King engine continued to rumble. He mused over the concept. Before going any further, Bang firstly wanted to know why King desired even greater strength. After all, he has already achieved incomparable power. King trembled as he tried to correct the old master. But unfortunately, Bang had heard enough. Thinking back on his own life, Bang admitted that he too was untouchable in his youth. Back then, he was totally out of control. If anyone even looked strong, he would immediately challenge them to a fight. He was drowning in martial arts talent, among other things. He used his power purely for the sake of enjoying himself. His brother Bomb had to humble him in a fight, and from there, he reevaluated his entire life and strength. And when change in his life became necessary, he also struggled to decide how exactly he should use his power. He even claimed to know exactly what King was really trying to say, since he had the very same thought as a young man. He entertained the thought of becoming so overwhelmingly powerful that he could negate all evil in the world. The old man claimed that this was simply impossible. Garou was just the same in his thinking, and it resulted in total failure. Bang was certain that no matter how strong one may be, a single pillar cannot uphold peace by its lonesome. I think this whole conversation is really interesting when you imagine he's saying all this to Saitama instead. Saitama is actually as ridiculously powerful as everyone believes King to be, and is responsible for the majority of his supposed feats. But if everyone in the world depended on Saitama alone, they would be making a huge mistake. It was Bang's belief that these days, with monsters attacking ordinary people so frequently, this sort of thinking needed to be shifted. That instead of trying to find ways to empower their already strong selves even more, it was more important that they further develop their ability to lead the way for those weaker than them, which was precisely what Bang has dedicated his life to for all these years in the form of a dojo. Having said this, Bang wondered if King would like to join him in empowering and teaching others. But before he could finish, King interrupted and said that Bang just doesn't understand. With grief written on his face, King let him know that he wasn't talking about anything on such a grand scale. His problem was far more simple. He is weak and he wants to become stronger. That's it. With his hand over his chest, King told the truth that he is nowhere close to being as strong of a man as everyone believes him to be. With nothing holding him back, King revealed that in reality, it's all just a big lie. He claimed to be a total weakling. Charanko and some of the other disciples were totally shocked. They couldn't believe what they were hearing. Charanko, clearly being quite the fan, immediately began to question him. He asked King if the story about him flying into the sky with a massive bomb that could have destroyed the entire solar system and throwing it into a massive black hole was true. This is kind of like how Saitama fought Garou on one of Jupiter's moons and farted from there to Earth. Or the one where King went back in time and stopped a swarm of meteors from colliding with the planet, therefore placing them on the current timeline. This one is like a combined exaggeration of Saitama destroying that meteor and when he traveled through time to stop Garou, which is crazy enough without the extra flair. Or that most mythologies foreshadowed his birth. Yeah, across the majority of faiths, King is seen as the messiah of his world. King agreed, but none of the lies were really on that kind of scale before. Charanko couldn't believe it. He immediately turned to his fellow disciples, and they began to wonder how much of the King legend was true. He wondered if King had really used the moon as a punching bag, leaving more craters on it. So, the public has rationalized Saitama's damage to the moon during his fight against Boros to be a result of King's training. Bang told his disciple to stop at once. Turning to King, Bang recognized that there are many fans like Charanko who see King as much more of a perfect superhuman than he actually is. But even then, he didn't want King to feel too pressured to live up to such high expectations. He totally respected King's strong sense of responsibility and believed it was something worth being proud of. However, he didn't see a need for the man to carry all that weight on his own. After all, he had plenty of comrades to help him, namely the Hero Association. Placing a hand on King's shoulder, Bang said that he was actually relieved to hear King speak of his own weakness. That the stronger a person is, the more acutely aware they are of their own weaknesses. And as long as King was able to remember that, Bang was sure that there would be no limit to how strong he would be able to become. King was in a panic now. Stumbling over his words, King again tries to tell Bang that what he was referring to wasn't even in the same dimension. Which brings us to Bang's elder brother, Bomb. He had already heard everything from his sibling. He knew beforehand that King was in search of power in a whole different dimension. As he stood atop a stack of massive boulders, Bomb wasn't really sure what Bang was thinking by sending King to him. Bomb believed that even if King trained under him for a lifetime, he still wouldn't achieve the power he's hoping to. King looked totally defeated, but Bomb continued by explaining the difference between his technique and that of Bang's water stream rock smashing fist. The old master leapt up into the air. He shifted his body towards the stack. Then he shoved his arm forward with tremendous force. With this rupturing power, he was able to sculpt a more refined pillar. Managing to now balance on the structure, Bomb spoke of his whirlwind iron-cutting fist. It can instantly kill anyone besides the absolute strongest of opponents as long as he makes the first move. But looking down towards the hero of legend, Bomb didn't imagine King would be interested in any sort of cheap tactics, which is one hell of a way to talk about your own move. With a crazed look on his face, King said no, but seemed like he wanted to say something else. Bomb looked at him and smiled. Pulling out a brush and a piece of paper, he urged King to calm down. He wasn't frightened by the hero and claimed that he was too old for King to provoke him into making the first move. So if Bomb was younger, a fight might actually be on site. Instead, he was just going to write King a letter of introduction. Now, let me just say, Bomb is one of the most powerful beings in all of One Punch Man, and I never see anyone give him his credit. I could make a whole video about the guy because really, he is easily top 5 all time. But nobody wants to watch that, so I guess not. Unless we get 5,000 likes on this video. Please, I really want to make that video. Bomb wanted King to visit some people so that he could participate in some traditional Qigong exercise. Qigong is an ancient mind-body practice that dates back thousands of years. It means skill cultivated through steady practice. Bomb hoped that this might be able to calm down King's overwhelming bloodlust a bit. King did as he was told and went to the dojo, but they didn't believe that they would be able to teach him a single thing. Their leader was sweating and claimed to be all too well aware of King-style Qigong arts, what he described to be an absolutely terrifying practice. He apologized, but there was no way they would be able to help him develop a new ultimate technique for it. So without even throwing a single punch, this man King has an entire martial arts style modeled after him. The world of One Punch Man is a ridiculous one, but these characters are totally serious. We know that the ultimate height of martial arts in this world is multi-continent level. So if taken seriously enough, even a King-style Qigong martial artist could be a serious threat. By virtue of simply existing, King has become a subfacet of the power system. Instead, this guy decided to refer King to another group that was far more combat-centric than they were. He knew that the group was a bit hot-headed and dangerous, but was sure King would be more than able to handle it. But when King made it to their place, which had a boxing ring lined with barbed wire ropes, they couldn't believe that the Qigong dojo had sent him. Whispering among themselves, they wondered if King had been sent there to crush them. One of the guys had heard that King played a part in taking down the human monster, Garou. Another looked like he was ready to ruin his own pants. They admitted to being a bit problematic in the past, but claimed to have turned over a new leaf since the human monster trashed their dojo. They begged King not to go on a rampage and promised to introduce him to another place. And this went on for the entire day. Some believed that King was there to crush their dojo, so they rushed to give him their sign. One guy refused to train him because compared to the battles King has faced, it would be like doing calisthenics for him. Rumors began to swirl about King visiting dojos and gyms all over. Students were warned by their masters not to even attempt to fight King, lest they be utterly annihilated. The general suspicion was that King's visits may be related to how the Hero Association was sending recruitment scouts all over the place. It made the organization seem especially desperate or pressured. Some wondered if it might be a secret plan to destabilize their enemies and neo-heroes by showing them how out of their league they really are. My boy even got turned away by the military. They can't just have a weapon of mass destruction working out with them. King was at his wit's end. Nobody would listen to a thing he was trying to say, so he wasn't accepted anywhere. He wondered just how exaggerated the false image of him has gotten to be. King's journey in search of power had now brought him to the mountains. As he made the trek up many stairs, King thought to himself how he had been passed around to so many places that it was already sundown. His travels had finally brought him to a cavern deep in the mountains. Standing before the huge opening, King wondered if anyone was actually out here. A student approached Grandmaster Mekasuyo of the Rapid Truth Rigid Fist. He wondered if Mekasuyo truly referred King to the legendary final training ground. The Grandmaster confirmed this, as he imagined it was the only place for a man like King. Apparently, it's the place where all those who seek to train beyond their limits end up going. He believed that in order to reach enlightenment, a person must face their true self. And because of this, King himself was the only one who would ever be able to tame the savage roar of the King engine. And he was really scared, so he sent King as far away as he possibly could. King hesitantly approached the entrance while calling out to see if anyone was actually inside. Once he was in there, King saw someone just beyond the light. King mentioned that he had been sent by the Rapid Truth Rigid Fist Dojo and wondered if the person had a moment to talk. But that's when King saw the decrepit state of the man before him. His eyes widened. King actually fell over with surprise and believed that he was looking at a mummy, and he was pretty sure that he had seen this before in an anime. King believed that this was a type of training where he would be forced to think about his past and future and all kinds of things until he reaches the perfect answer. This wasn't what he signed up for at all, so King rushed out of the cave as quickly as he could. The figure inside remained motionless, but then he woke up. Apparently, he had dozed off, so it wasn't like he saw King at all. As he ran down the stairs, King suddenly caught a glimpse of a mysterious creature moving through the nearby plants. And based on the silhouette, we know that this is Manako. But just as quickly as she was seen, she fled the scene. Flashy Flash is trying to find her right now, so it's possible that he might wind up in this area as well. King wondered if what he saw might have been a bear. After that close call, he decided to finally call it quits and run back home. And once he was there, King recounted the entire ordeal while playing video games. After telling all of this to Saitama, King sighed deeply on account of all the wasted effort. Saitama was terribly frustrated. He finally pulled off the super ultimate combo attack, and King just keeps blocking every hit. The fact that King was dominating him so easily while sighing just pissed him off even more. King wasn't strong at all, yet every time the world is in danger, which was pretty frequently now, the lies about him grow even stronger. King wondered what he should do now. Thinking about it, King felt like he might have no choice but to get himself killed by a monster before anyone finds out and they beat him to a pulp. King saw his life as being like a video game, and it was finally game over. He didn't have any options left. From there, he just began to sob and shake, which really pissed Saitama off. Then Saitama told King to just lift, dude. And just like that, as if he wasn't already, Saitama just entered every gym head's top 5 anime characters. But before they could keep talking, the doorbell rang. Saitama wondered if it might be Genos. King wondered if Genos still lived close by, even after moving out. Saitama responded that Genos was in the room next door, so yeah, he was pretty close. He moved in after kicking out the other hero that used to live there, which we saw recently. He really did not give Forte much of a choice. Saitama mentioned how far Genos was willing to go, even though the only thing he could really teach him was muscle training. Genos was totally serious about becoming stronger. Saitama opened the door, but it wasn't Genos. Fubuki had appeared once again to try and get Saitama to join the Blizzard group. She began to promise high-quality beef as an enrollment perk, but Saitama closed the door before she could finish. Clearly, Saitama putting her in the acquaintance zone wasn't enough. This poor greeting made Fubuki really mad. Saitama didn't want anything she was trying to sell. Opening the door again, Saitama was disappointed to hear that Fubuki was still looking for new members. He told her that she needs to stop relying on others and do some lifting herself. She told him not to get the wrong idea, since she had no plans of relying on him. She claimed that him joining would become a good stimulus. That's all. Because from now on, instead of remaining in B class, the Blizzard group will be changing the direction so that all other members aim to be promoted to A class. And in theory, a well-rounded and highly compatible group of A class heroes might be able to measure up to a single S class hero. Just then, Mini Rover stole the premium beef. Fubuki was totally shocked by the dog. She immediately tried to pull the dog away from the meat with the use of her Esper abilities, but it was no use. But now that she was closer, Fubuki wondered if she might have seen this dog somewhere before, which she totally has. He nearly disintegrated her and the masters of martial arts. And back then, she also offered them the same sort of premium meat deal. Saitama thanked her for giving Rover a treat. Realizing that this was Saitama's dog, she told him to make it stop, but it was too late. Rover had already eaten the whole thing. Rover was now really happy and wagging his tail. But Fubuki shouted at him to stop looking at her like he was getting seconds. Fubuki was infuriated and promised that they would return. Saitama didn't mind as long as they brought more treats with them. But even as they drove away, Rover chased after them. They tried to shake him off by going 100 miles per hour, but couldn't. When they finally made it back to their office, an urgent alert went out. There was a monster for them to beat, so they moved out immediately. Unfortunately, the oversized flower monster was too strong for them to handle. Then, out of nowhere, Rover shot one blast at the monster, and it was destroyed completely. The Blizzard group looked on in total awe. Eyelashes told Fubuki that Rover will only eat high-quality beef. Fubuki immediately ordered them to get more. And just like that, Rover joined the Blizzard group. So currently, the Blizzard group has the absolute strongest pet dog in the world. And if they keep feeding him so well, it'll only be a matter of time before he's huge again. Hopefully this doesn't lead to too much reliance. Fubuki realizing her true Esper potential while also having a totally tamed and fully grown Rover would be insane. This was a really fun chapter of One Punch Man, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. As always, I am Slice of Otaku. Thank you all so much for watching and have an awesome day. I love you.